Hello and welcome back to another video. So today I wanted to talk about the news that came directly from Sony's CFO during Sony's annual earnings report. I will also discuss the implications of this news, but let's get right into it. Like I said, Sony's CFO gave us some really interesting information regarding a PS5 redesign. First, however, let's give some context here. The current semiconductor shortage has affected so many industries around the world. As gamers, I know we're very familiar with the silicon shortage, especially in regard to GPUs and Ryzen 5000 CPUs specifically. When it comes to the PS5, it has become very hard to get since its launch date. I even made a video on how you can best get one, but either way, a lot of people have been struggling to get a PS5 in their hands. And this semiconductor shortage has played a role, but Sony's CFO also said that there are other design aspects that have also been related to the shortage. Therefore, in these articles and from direct quotes, a PS5 redesign is very much in the play. From what I've read, we will be seeing a PS5 redesign between the second and third quarters of 2022. The major components, of course, discussed were the CPU and GPU. Sony was actually scheduled to use TSMC's 5nm process for a redesign in 2023, but because of the shortage and Sony's goal of selling as many PS5s as possible, especially with demand this high, they might be changing those plans. As we've seen with many consoles, AMD will be designing a custom processor for this new redesign, and hopefully this helps with some of the supply constraints. I didn't hear any news regarding a redesign for the GPU specifically, where we'll be seeing dies that fully support RDNA 2, because many sources have shown when they did inspect the dies, it was more like 1.5. But as for external design changes, I would personally love a redesign that makes the console more compact. Also, maybe a full black edition would be nice. There's many ways they could, of course, go about this, and I think we'll in the future see different design changes, in terms of color at least. But for now, they have mainly said that it's likely that it will be internal designs rather than external redesigns. I did talk about the processor in terms of internal designs, but what also might be in play is the thermal solution. Currently, the PS5 uses a very innovative cooling solution with liquid metal. For a mass production system, liquid metal is very hard to implement, and I've been totally impressed with what Sony has done so far. However, changing that part may be a better solution in order to increase supply. And this is mainly because the liquid metal is not easy to work with particularly, and you have to create an entire infrastructure around it in order to make sure that it doesn't get on other components and ruin your system. I believe the heatsink, which is already huge, will likely stay the same, but whether we're using a solution like thermal paste or graphite pads, I'm not sure. It will, of course, have to keep the processor at a cool rate, which it's a very power-intensive processor. However, we know the Series X is able to do that without the use of liquid metal. Before we end this video, I want to talk about a couple implications. So the first implication is a pretty obvious one, that it will hopefully make it more available for the huge demand for the product. And that means that a lot of gamers will finally get their hands on these next-gen consoles if this redesign is successful in increasing supply significantly. But of course, there's been many PS5s currently sold. So what about those people? Well, I think for still using liquid metal, it might have a better cooling solution, and maybe the new processor isn't significantly different enough to make it worth getting the redesign, if you already had one, of course. And lastly, I kind of touched upon this earlier, I hope that we'd see full RDNA 2 to enable things like DirectX 12 Ultimate and other graphical features. Fidelity FX to this very point still isn't available for PS5, although I believe that is coming very soon. Tell me what you think about the redesign, what you would like to see, and what changes you think would happen in the comment section below. I hope you all enjoyed, and peace.